If purchasing a home sounds like a daunting task, then you have found a great resource in this 15-minute presentation. Hi, I'm Joe Kennedy, a licensed real estate broker in Oregon, and I'm happy to share with you the following information that will break down home buying in simple steps and make you feel more confident about purchasing. In this presentation, I will first discuss the benefits of owning a home. I will then show you the main categories of single-family residential homes. A large amount of time will explain the ins and outs of the home buying process. Lastly, I will discuss the financing of a home and financing options. So why should you even think of purchasing a home? What are the benefits? A major advantage to buying a home is you can build equity. Okay, so what is equity? When you take the value of a home and subtract the overall debt on the home, that equals the equity you have built. Here's a simple example. If you bought a home for $400,000 and you took out a $350,000 loan, $400,000 minus the $350,000 equals $50,000. In this case, the equity you start with is your down payment. Now, after 5 years, it's likely your house is appreciated. Let's say it appreciated at a modest average yearly appreciation rate of 5.5%, which makes nice, easy numbers for this example. Your home is now worth $525,000, and with part of your loan paid off, in this example I had $25,000 paid off, the equity in your home is now 4 times as much as your original down payment at $200,000. Equity is essentially the bank account for your home investment. Building equity translates into acquiring wealth. Another way to acquire wealth is through the stock market, but when you sell stocks, you have to pay taxes on the capital gains. Owning a home has specific tax advantages, such as writing off the property taxes and mortgage interest from your taxable income. In addition, when you sell your primary residence and have lived there 2 years in a row, or 2 out of 5 years, you avoid paying capital gains when you sell your home. Owning versus renting. When renting, you are contributing to your landlord's wealth by paying off their bills. You are paying the landlord's mortgage. Okay, wait, I've heard that word. What's a mortgage? It's the loan you take out on a home. Your monthly mortgage payment includes part of the principal, which is the actual amount loaned to you, the interest on the principal, your prorated property taxes, and prorated insurance. The acronym PITI stands for the 4 parts of the monthly mortgage payment. If your property has a monthly HOA fee, that is normally added to the mortgage as well. If you are renting, this slide may make you sick, or call me up and help you find a property to buy. The most common type of mortgage is a 30-year mortgage, meaning the loan will be paid off in 30 years. The far right column shows how much you could be throwing away in rent over a 30-year period, not just thousands, but hundreds of thousands. It's best to get pre-approved for a mortgage right from the beginning. Often, people begin shopping looking on Redfin, Zillow, or other websites, and it's also fun to go to open houses. To be a serious buyer, you need to know what you can afford. This saves time, energy, and keeps you from being discouraged. Besides, even if you found the right property, the Oregon Sale Agreement requires you to submit a pre-approval letter to the sellers. So how do you get pre-approved? Who can help me with that? A mortgage consultant or mortgage broker can help you with the process of getting pre-approved. I would be more than happy to put you in touch with a mortgage broker that would be a good fit for you. Some of the documents you will need to provide are listed at the top of this slide, and they mostly deal with documentation showing your income. Let's shift gears and talk about the main categories of single-family residences. Often, how much you can afford will dictate what type of home you can buy. There are 4 main categories of homes: detached homes, condominiums, townhomes, and new construction, which can be found in any of the other categories. A detached home is a freestanding home where you own the structure and the land it sits upon. Therefore, You pay for all the bills and maintenance of the land and the structure. Generally, there are no HOA fees unless in a planned development where there is an HOA which might take care of landscaping in the front yard and also have restrictions such as no parking RVs. I live in Southwest Portland where detached homes start around $350. Another category of homes are condominiums. With condos, you own the space in between the walls. Condos are attached with other units and most of the time have multiple levels. Common areas such as hallways, entrances, clubhouses, or pools are shared by all unit members. Monthly HOA fees pay for the maintenance of common areas, maintenance of complex, often many of the utilities, property management if applicable, insurance of complex, and possibly other items. Sometimes apartment buildings are converted to condos. This is good to know, and another reason to have a detail-oriented realtor like myself in your corner. For reference, condos in Southwest Portland start around $200,000. The last main category of homes are townhouses or townhomes. With townhomes, most often you own the land, which is why you might see a small amount of acreage like .02 in the listing. Townhomes are attached with units on the sides but no unit above or below. They often have a garage, but not always. Most of the time, townhomes have HOA fees, which is important for the exterior maintenance of the building. Townhomes can be a less expensive option compared to detached homes. I've covered why you should buy a home and the types of single-family homes. It's now time to tackle the home buying process. The process starts with getting pre-approved and house hunting. Once you have found the right home, it's time to submit an offer. Mutual acceptance is when both the seller and the buyer have agreed to the offer in a residential sale agreement. This is when things get real and timelines begin the next business day after the day of acceptance. And as your realtor, I make sure that timelines are facilitated and met for a smooth sailing transaction. Earnest money is deposited in escrow within 3 business days at the title company. Most often, the earnest money is in the form of a check. Earnest money, escrow. Let's slow down and explain these terms. Earnest money is about 1 to 2% of the sale price that becomes part of the overall down payment at closing. It demonstrates that the buyer is in earnest or serious about buying the property. If the buyer doesn't perform, the seller may be entitled to keep the earnest money. Escrow is the neutral third party that is given directions from the sale agreement and all the terms and conditions of the sale. Escrow holds all funds until closing, which is when the seller receives the funds and the title of the property is transferred to buyer through recording with the county. We have an accepted offer, but maybe this wasn't the right house. An Oregon statutory right, the right of rescission, gives the buyer the ability to back out within a 5 business day period after the buyers receive the seller's property disclosure. I call it the bad dream clause, and your earnest money is fully refunded. The inspection period is usually 10 business days after mutual acceptance, though the amount of days are negotiable. During this period, the buyer has the opportunity to hire a licensed, bonded, and insured professional home inspector and negotiate the sale price or any repairs based on the inspections. The buyer can back out of the sale agreement during this period and receive their earnest money back if they are unsatisfied with the results of the property inspections. Getting past the inspection period is a giant leap towards the finish line. The last big hurdle is the financing contingencies. According to the sale agreement, both the buyers and the home have to qualify for financing. If they don't, you can still receive your earnest money back. For the home to qualify, the bank giving a loan requires an appraisal to make sure that the property is worth what they are loaning on. If the bank ever ended up with a property due to foreclosure, they want to make their money back by selling the property. You as the buyer have to qualify as well. Now, has your financial situation changed since your pre-approval letter? Losing income, such as losing your job or taking on more debt, will affect your debt to income ratio and in turn could affect your financing. It's best to be conservative with your spending while getting ready to close on a house. Now, I know that shiny new car can look appealing, but a good idea not to buy the Tesla until after closing. The home stretch. It's time to sign closing papers, which occurs a few days before the actual closing date. Before you sign closing papers, you are given the closing disclosure 3 days in advance before signing to make sure you agree with the amount you are paying for the home and all the additional closing costs and prepaids. Closing costs are the charges you have to pay for the various services involved in the transaction, including loan fees, title fees, and county recording fees. Prepaids are items such as property taxes, HOA fees, and insurance that are required to be paid in advance. Signing closing documents happens at the title company a few days before closing, as mentioned previously. The signing process will take around an hour, and the escrow officer will guide you through the vast amount of documents and disclosures necessary to sign. At signing, bring identification and a cashier's check for the remainder of the down payment. Remember, the earnest money becomes part of the down payment. Closing takes place the day that was mutually agreed upon in the sale agreement. At closing, funds are dispersed to the seller and the title is transferred to the buyer through the recording process with the county. Congratulations on your purchase. Now, where are the keys, please? How much did that all cost me? To afford purchasing a home, you must have available funds for the following. Inspections. You're going to need inspections which include a general home inspection and almost always a sewer line inspection, radon inspection, and underground storage tank locate. You also need cash on hand for closing costs and prepaids, which will range in cost due to a number of factors. You can ask the seller to pay a portion of these costs when negotiating the sale agreement. Lastly, you will need available funds for the earnest money and the rest of the down payment. Many people think and even postpone purchasing that you need to have 20% saved up for a down payment. This is a myth. Now, putting a 20% down payment on a conventional loan does have an advantage. You avoid paying any monthly mortgage insurance. In a conventional loan, once you hit a 80% loan-to-value ratio, the private mortgage insurance, known as PMI, can go away. Here's an example. Let's say the value of your home when you bought it was $400,000 and you took out a $380,000 loan, which means you had a 20% down payment or 5% down. Simple math shows you have a 95% loan to value. Now, in a few years, let's say the home appreciates to $450,000 and your loan is now down to $360,000, which means your equity is $90,000. Some more simple math now shows you have achieved an 80% loan to value ratio, and therefore you can quit paying that annoying monthly mortgage insurance payment. There are many loan options and products out there. To find the right fit for you, it's best to get in touch with the right people, and I'm happy to set that up for you. That's it for my home buying presentation. If you have any questions, don't hesitate in reaching out. I'm more than happy to facilitate your real estate needs.